Hello, hello. It's time for a Writer in Progress update. 22 years ago, April 16th, 2002 to be exact, I started the first draft of what I still hope will be my debut novel. Back then, it was called Telegram Express. And silly me thought this blue notebook would be the only one I'd need. That's how naive I was. Not so naive that I didn't get feedback. I was told in no uncertain terms that my story was boring. My protagonist totally unlikable. And my manuscript was bogged down with info dumps and cliches within cliches within cliches. So I got to work. And I studied craft books and went to conferences and took workshops and did rewrite after rewrite after rewrite. And I still ended up submitting the manuscript before it was ready. 46 rejections later, I felt like a failure. But I didn't quit because I liked the challenge of writing. Still love the challenge of writing. Writing is a lot like algebra for me. Back in grade school, the only thing I ever got in math were C's and D's and the occasional F. And then along came Miss Janish's algebra class, where she introduced the mysterious X. There were all these known variables and the unknown X. It was frustrating as hell. But if I hung in there and I moved the known variables around in different combinations, eventually I would discover the identity of X. It was exhilarating. And that's exactly how I feel every time I go in and rewrite a manuscript. It's an exhilarating challenge to discover the truth of what the story is meant to be. My biggest challenge was during the pandemic. In 2019, I was then submitting draft number 12, and I got requests for a full, and I was so excited, and I got a pass, and I thought of quitting. After all, not all first novels get published. I knew that, so I took myself to the Writer Unbox Unconference, and I got more feedback. And I realized that the story wasn't done with me. And so I decided to do the one thing I hadn't done. I decided to hire a developmental editor. And lo and behold, she threw a spotlight on the X of the elephant in my manuscript. Fast forward to 2022, I'm querying draft number 13. The magic 13, as I like to call it, lucky 13 for me. 2 of my sons were born on the 13th. My youngest on Friday the 13th. Woohoo! And I submitted to 49 agents, and I got 22 rejections officially. I thought about quitting, but then I realized my query wasn't doing me any favors. I was so afraid of rejection again that I was defending my manuscript rather than selling it. And so I went back in, reread the whole mess, cut another 8,000 words, woohoo, and I sent it back out to beta readers to make sure that I wasn't fooling myself. And they all came back with the happiest of tears and told me to go for it. So I polished up my pitch and my log line, and I made my synopsis a paragraph turner. And here we are in 2024, and I'm back in the query trenches. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just self-publish? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I was raised to believe that competition is good. And I was trained as a musician, as a dancer, and an actress. All areas where you have to push yourself to excel in order to win. Think Naiad.
Diana Naiad, world champion marathon swimmer.
The swim I want to do is 60 hours. That's Cuba to Florida.
And she didn't do it alone. She had a whole team behind her. And I want a team behind me. I want to be traditionally published. That's my mindset. Oh, yes, I know what else you're thinking. You're thinking, well, what's going to make this time any different? Well, I'll tell you. I'm no longer naive. I'm well aware of the fact that my story isn't for everybody, and there will be naysayers. But I love my protagonist, and I love her story, and I believe in them. And I agree with Colson Whitehead, who said, if it's true for me, it must be true for at least one other person. And if there's one person, there must be 20. And if there's 20, why not 1,000? And so that's why it's time for a little spring cleaning. I am going to take down all of these naysayers to make room for that one yes. Sure, there may be some no's along the way, but that's okay. I'm not going to think of them as a rejection this time. This time, I'm thinking of them as I'm one step closer to my ideal publishing team. So keep your fingers crossed. I'll keep you posted, and let's keep writing.